Welcome back to my channel. I'm Lisa, and if you're new here, welcome. This is Southern Yankee Designs. Today I'm going to be making some samples in my studio, and you don't want to miss this. Let's get started. If you do samples on poster board, and it's too thin, sometimes the moisture of the products that you're applying on the paper, which is the poster board, will make it kind of wrinkle and bubble up, and it just won't look good. So I try to find something that's kind of thick. Foam board's great, but I just happen to have this on hand. So we're using this today. I've actually been doing a bunch of big projects that I am also incorporating into videos that you will see here soon. So that's where I've been. I apologize for taking so long, but I know a lot of you, when I do finishes or I do things in some of my videos, you want to know how to do them a little bit better than how I'm showing you in the video. So this is going to be what I did on my hood range in my kitchen. Okay, so I'm actually going to turn it this side because I want it, I'm going to put some pieces of tape, double-sided tape on here. And it's going to kind of give a wider effect. I found this double-sided mounting tape at Lowe's. It's gray, it's sticky on both sides, and this is the perfect tape that I have found so far that actually gives you the look of like metal straps. So this is going to be really cool. I'm going to take my straight edge. Usually I measure, but I'm just going to wing it today. I definitely measured the spaces between so everything was even on my hood range. So you're definitely going to want to do that. So you know what? I am going to go ahead and measure this because it is a sample for a designer that's going to be showing this to clients. So I want to make sure that it at least looks professional. So I'm just going to actually use my trowel and just go ahead and put it about here. And I'm just going to, I'll say right about here. If I were doing this for a client or my personal stuff, I would definitely get the measuring tape out, but we're just going to wing it this time. And that looks like about good right there. What do you think? I think so. So I'm just going to press it down so it's all even and there's no bubbles. And then I am going to cut it evenly across the bottom. Again, I'm spacing this out with my trowel just to kind of start off right about here. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to bring it down to about here. Now this tape does have a little stretch to it. I don't like stretching it that much because I think over time it might shrink. You just want to make sure that you just kind of keep it. This is just for looks. It's not for function. So we are going to cut that right there, straight across, and voila. Now, this is probably the hardest part of the whole thing because you've got to get that red piece of plastic off. Wow, that was the easiest piece so far. If it kind of comes up in the corner, that's fine. Just press it back down. So I'm just pressing that back down. The next step, I'm going to be using these little art skills, little pearls, little sticky pearls that I got from, I think I got these from the Dollar Tree or Family Dollar. one of the two, but they're just little pearls, and they're little sticker pearls. So I'm going to use these as nail heads or tacks, or yeah, you get it. What I'm gonna do is just kind of measure this. This is a T-square. This is meant for sheetrock, but this is the first thing I could find on hand. My studio's a mess. So this is 14 inches from here to here. So what I'm going to do is find the center, which is 7. And I'm just going to just use these scissors and just put a center mark right about there. See that? And then I'm going to do the same on this side. I can get this over. Let's do this, since this is a T-square. This is way overkill. Okay, so this is a sample. I'm just eyeballing it. We're going to do that for center. Whoa. Oh, boy. This is the best mounting tape. No joke. It's no joke, people. No joke. Okay, so then I'm just going to take these little pearlets and these little pearl stickers and just stick them right on that center point there and the center point there. You can kind of see where I'm going with this, and I'll get the camera a little closer. Take another one and another sticker, another pearl sticker, and put it all the way at the top in the center of the tape. And I'm going to do the same thing with this bottom one in the center, and same thing over here. And you can add as many or as little of these as you want to. You don't even have to do this part. Now that there's 3 here, I'm going to center these 2. And I'm just eyeballing it, people. Here, that's a little high, but it is a sample. And then we're going to do one right about here. That looks about good. Yeah, that's going to bother me. So you just take that very carefully off. And I'm just going to lower it just a hair, okay? And then again, same thing with this. We're going to put that right about there. And I'm going to put one right about here. So, that part is done. As you can see, here is the double-sided mounting tape. I've got the little pearl stickers spaced out. It's going to be so cool. Y'all are going to love this. Now that this part's done, I am going to paint the entire board, the pearls and the tape, with paint. And you know me, I'm always using the sample paints by Sherwin-Williams. I am painting the base of this sample with the color Anonymous by Sherwin-Williams. I'm gonna pour a little bit of this Anonymous in the center here. And where's my brush? My brush. I love these chip brushes. They're so cheap, but I can rinse them out and I can keep using them over and over until they just die and the handle falls off or they just disintegrate. So I am going to, with my chip brush, this is a 4-inch chip brush, I am going to just brush on all around the little pearlets, the little pearl stickers. Just kind of almost stipple it on so it gets all over the entire pearl sticker and piece of tape. Some of these, that's the one thing I do not like about these brushes, is they just shed really bad, but oh well. Anyway, So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just covering, stippling all of the recessed areas that a roller really can't get to. Okay? Perfect. Now I am taking my roller. I am just dropping stuff left and right here. All right, now I'm just rolling this on. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we're probably going to end up doing 2 layers of this because this is a dark color going on a white surface. So I am just rolling over the entire board. Pearls, everything. Tape, everything. With Anonymous, it is 7046 by Sherwin-Williams, sample cord. Okay, I am going to get up there because I don't want that showing. All right. So to speed things up a little bit, I'm going to take a hair dryer and I'm just going to dry this to touch so I can put my second layer on. I decided to change the color of this base. This isn't the color I used on my hood range hood. So this is Anonymous, which is fine. I've got to do 2 coats of paint anyway because I am using a very dark, deep color. So the next one I'm going to use is Gauntlet Gray. And that is a Sherwin-Williams color. I am using sample paint colors. But this is going to be Gauntlet Gray. I want it darker and grayer with a little bit more blue in it, and you'll see why when I go to the next step. So again, Gauntlet Gray is my next color. It is a sample quart by Sherwin-Williams, and it is SW 7019, 7019, Gauntlet Gray. Everything's dry. It's time to go on to the next step, but this is really starting to take shape. It's really cool how this is really starting to look like metal with metal straps and rivets. And this can really change the total look of your whole kitchen by doing this on your range hood. You can get as creative as you want. You can do everything metal, and then these pieces an accent color, like you can do copper. I mean, you can really get as creative as you want with this finish, which is really cool. But we're just gonna stick with everything one color like I did my range hood. So the next step I am using is this luster stone plaster, and it's in the color Moon Glow Silver, and it's by Faux. I love Faux products. They're like top of the line. They do get a little pricey, but with things like this that you want to look custom and really beautiful, you're gonna get what you pay for. So you can't go wrong with Faux products. They're just really top-notch, high-end, great stuff. So again, we're starting with Moon Glow Silver Luster Stone, and we're putting on really, really, really thin, or I'm going to put on a really, really, really thin layer of this, and you can see the color. So what's great about this plaster is you can use a Venetian trowel, which you've probably seen in some of my other videos. And I might use that, but I think I'm gonna start off with just, again, this cheap chip brush, 4-inch chip brush. And it's a little damp. I want it to be a little damp. That's the awesome thing about this plaster as well. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. But I am just going to dab in here. It is water-based, so you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it, like I said. But the thinner you put this plaster on, the quicker it's going to dry. So I'm going to kind of move here fast, and if I babble, I'm sorry. I usually babble to myself. But I am going all around the tape edges and the little pearl stickers, and I'm going to just go in one direction. So I am going to take my trowel and I'm going to come through and just kind of get some of that off. I'm going to pull some of that off. Now this easel is so old, it has so many layers of paint on it that it's starting to come through. The texture of this part of my easel starting to come through. So I'm going to stay with the brush and try to get rid of some of that texture because I don't want that on there. Now remember, I want this to look like authentic metal, so I'm just going to try to keep it in one direction. Just have a damp rag here, and I'm just going to get a nice smooth section of this and just kind of lightly buff. Go up and down and just stipple areas that I think are too thick, like around the pearls or the tape. Okay, there's just a little too much texture going on up under here, so I'm taking another board and just going underneath there to just kind of get rid of some of that. Yeah, there. Okay. Now I'm just going to keep going. Cover the rest of this board. Now, when I did my range hood, I did one section at a time because this dries so fast. I was so nervous, and I had to remind myself, Lisa, it's just paint. If I don't like it, I can paint over it, but I don't like to do things more than once. So I'm going to take my wet rag again. Damp, it's very damp. You don't want it too wet because then you're just going to wipe everything off. And I'm just going to kind of lightly buff these areas and get rid of some of those lines and just tap, just kind of work with it. And that's one thing that I can't stress enough is to really do a sample before you touch a surface. I've done this finish several times before, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. But if you're new to this, I would strongly advise a sample first. That way you can get your color down. You can take this, you can take this sample to wherever you're going to put it and see if the color looks good in your home. If it's, if it needs to be adjusted. Samples are always a good idea before you do the real thing. Because if you're like me, you don't want to have to redo stuff. So that's really starting to, I know there's a glare, but it looks like metal. with the metal straps and the rivets. And this is just so simple, so easy. I'm going to let this dry. I have one more layer to put on and then I'm done. This is nice and dry, ready for our next step. And the next thing I'm going to be applying to this surface is the luster stone weathered bronze. This is just going to tone down the blue undertones of this metal and really kind of make it look a little older. Again, this is from Faux Effects. It's weathered bronze, luster stone, and this is one of my favorite products. So we're going to be applying it in a thin layer, just like the other luster stone layer. What color was it? Moon Glow Silver, how can I forget? But this is what the weathered bronze looks like. So I have my chip brush again, and it's a little bit damp, and I'm just going to dab a little bit on my brush, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my last layer. I'm going to cover all of the tape, all of the recessed areas, and really kind of stipple it in, all of the cracks and crevices, and cover some of that Moon Glow Silver. And then I'm going to just go in one direction. You can see that's kind of toning that down a little bit. Make sure that those paint brushes, those little bristles are out. Make sure all the little hairy, sheddy things are out. Okay, so again, I'm going to just gently brush this on. In one direction. Okay, then I'm gonna take my damp rag and just kind of stipple around and just kind of buff some of those brush marks out very lightly. Now that tape is also kind of a soft material, so you want to be a little bit careful when you're messing around, because if you like stick your nail, or it just dents easier than the rest of the surface. But you can kind of see the look that I'm going for here. You can kind of do that if you want to. Just be aware that it's going to dry pretty quick because you're putting on a thin layer. All right, I'm going to finish this side. This is so cool. Love, love, love this look. And you can get these cool custom looks if you do finishes like this for like a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for some custom shop. Or just remember, another tip that I had a little issue with on my range hood is I didn't go all the way from the top to the bottom. I kind of started stopping in the center, and I don't know if you can see that because of the glare, but it just had a little texture from my cloth that I was using, and you don't want that. You just want to keep it as soft as you can. And that's just kind of what I'm doing, is just going over everything softly with a cotton cloth that's damp. You don't want it wet. If it's too wet, it'll take too much of the product off, and you don't want that. You want to keep it on there just worked hard. We are done, 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 and I'm so excited. This looks so great, and this is what it looks like. I know that's such a horrible glare. Let me see if I can turn this light down a little bit. Oh, that's bright. How about off? Oh, that's kind of cool. So you can see that is really cool, and if you can imagine that on like a hood range hood, that is pretty spectacular. Paint, luster stone, tape, sticky pearls, and if I don't like this years from now, guess what? That comes off. My range hood is wood, so I can just do a little sanding, maybe a little putty. I don't even have to putty unless there's some texture I want to get rid of, and repaint it to look like something else. So I'm going to show you what my range hood looks like. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this finish. Please leave any comments below on any suggestions, ideas, or finishes that you would like to see in my future videos. Please give me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you can keep up with all of my future videos. Y'all stay healthy, and until next time, see ya.